I'm not a psychiatrist or a licensed therapist. I'm not telling you to do these. These are just recommendations of things that have personally helped me, and they potentially could help you as well. What is going on, YouTube? My name is Tyler Rossmann and you are watching Tross Films. There's still a lot of uncertainty going on. Everything in this video is based off my own personal experience with chronic depression and anxiety and experiencing panic attacks and also having an eating disorder. I wanted to break down those steps in strategic ways for you at home, regardless of who you are. If you're dealing with just symptoms or maybe have chronic depression, these are things that have personally helped me. Number one, the first notion they say is keep a routine. One thing that best helps with keeping a routine, the easiest, most fundamental thing, go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. That's extremely hard to do if you have anxiety, because anxiety a lot of the time prevents us from falling asleep because our brains do not shut down. If you can try to wake up at the same time, set an alarm, wake up at the same time, even if it's like 12 p.m., that is something that can start a routine. Also, next thing that can help with having a routine is eat the same thing for breakfast, regardless if you're feeling hungry or not, because a lot of times in these feelings you might not feel like you want to eat. If you just eat the same thing, like eat eggs and oatmeal, or eat, some eggs and toast, or something that's relatively good in micronutrients and macronutrients, a nice combination of proteins, fats, and carbs. If you can eat something for breakfast, that's step 2. Number 3 is just walk. If you can walk, that's something that you can do right after you eat. Boom, 3 things. If you can just start with 3 things, that's like the building snowball effect. And so those are the only things I would say to start a routine, is wake up at the same time, eat the same thing for breakfast, and go for a walk. If you can just do those things in chronological order, it can start your day a little bit better. Exercise. The big thing we've all been told our entire lives is that exercise can help you. The easiest thing if you're dealing with anxiety and depression that I personally found with myself and people that I know is walking. If you can walk, it's the most simplest thing that you can possibly do. If you can go outside and walk, and again, be social distanced from other people, wear a mask if you need in your state, even if it's in your backyard, if you're in an apartment, walk somewhere near your house or something like that, that is the most beneficial and the easiest thing to do with the least amount of energy. If you can walk for 20 minutes, perfect. If you can walk for 10 minutes, that's still ideal. If you can walk for 5 minutes, that's still awesome. That's the first thing. Number 2, body weight exercises. A lot of people may not have a lot of equipment. That's fine. You can honestly go on Google, or if you're watching this on YouTube, search on YouTube for like a 5-minute workout or a 10-minute body weight workout. There's tons of them. So many people are doing it. Number 3, if you want an extra challenge, do something that you actually like playing with sport. If you have another player, you can try doing a sport. If you're near a park, you may be able to play tennis. If you're limited with where you are because, in your state you can't go outside or something like that, you could make a makeshift game of like, living room hockey. You could get like a tennis ball as your puck and play on your knees with like your brother or a sibling or somebody else if you're living there. If you're living by yourself, one thing that you could try doing is yoga. Yoga is relatively beginners. There's different versions of yoga, which is also beneficial, but it will definitely aid in helping you breathe and helping you move blood throughout your body. Doing these sort of things can help release endorphins and help produce more dopamine in your brain. Keep close contact with loved ones. Again, this is very hard now with social distancing. If you live with family members, you also might be a little bit overwhelmed by them. You might be having them cause more anxiety, whatever that may be the case. However, one easy way that I would find that you could be able to make this work is writing a letter. Writing a handwritten letter is gonna be giving your attention to something else. If you can write a letter to someone, explain why you love them, explain why they're important to you, or even write like a fun memory or something like that, it will get your mind off of whatever it may be going on, and it will make you start thinking of other people. Because when we're in depression and anxiety induced like mindsets, what we usually do is just focus only on like what we're doing specifically for us. But when we write a letter to someone else about them, it can kind of change the way we're thinking, kind of get other people more involved, and remind ourselves why we love them, why we care for them, and why we value them in our lives. Don't be hard on yourself. This is the loaded one that I spent a lot of time on. Write in a notebook, write on a piece of paper, the thing that you're most proud of about yourself. That's going to be extremely hard for you if you do struggle with anxiety or depression, is finding something that you're actually proud of yourself. However, I found that this is extremely powerful if you actually go and out and do it. So write on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter the size, doesn't matter how long you write, but if you write something that you're very proud of, it could have been when you were a kid, it could have been when you were in school, on a sports team, it could be when you're an adult, it could be a fun moment with a family member, or anything, write that moment. And then just read it. Just write it and read it. That's all you got to do. That is something that can kind of give you remembrance of you are special and you're very important. All right, and the last big one is thinking of anxiety as a tool. This is another loaded question that can be very hard to interpret. The way that I would define it best is don't try to force your feelings. Don't try to force battling your depression or anxiety. Try to accept the emotions that you're feeling. This is extremely hard. It's extremely challenging. But if you can try to just to let it flow and breathe, you're gonna reduce that this thought has over you. Remind yourself that you are in control. A lot of the times when our depression or anxiety are really heightened, a lot of the times we feel like we are victims, that we do not have control. A big thing about mental illness is that we feel we have a lack of control, and that these emotions, anxiety and depression, overwhelm us and they're in control of us, and that is not the case. If we try to fight it, a lot of times they end up winning because we just feel more crappy and we feel more worse about ourselves or our situation. Try to embrace it as best you can. Think of it like a river. It's kind of flowing. Try not to dam it. Try not to dam it and just stop it. Say you can't come in. Try to let it flow like a river. Breathe. Do something. Go outside if you need to. But try just to accept it as best you can. If you are dealing with a little bit more anxiety, your attention is going to be heightened. If you can try to do something you really like find something you love, like painting or riding a bicycle or something. If you can find something, if you can remember something you really love and you can get into it, that attention that you get from anxiety can kind of come out and you can kind of be super mind focused on that. It's kind of a way of distracting yourself, but it's also a way to cope is by doing something you love. Doing something you love. If you're kind of more on the depression side, it's going to be a lot harder to kind of think of it as a tool. Depression really shuts down our body. So the biggest thing I can say is find something that you are extremely grateful of or grateful for. If you can focus on gratitude, that's another thing where you can kind of see something that's very loving, something that's full of kind-heartedness, positive spirits, things of this nature. So trying to find something you're grateful for, if you need to write it down, that's even better. A lot of the times we think we need to be perfect or we need to be awesome or loving or just, googly positive and butterflies and rainbows all the time. That is not the case because that is not reality. That is not life. And especially during this time and bottling up all of our emotions, putting our issues or problems or feelings under the rug, that's not going to benefit us. What's going to benefit us is talking about our feelings, embracing what's going on and talking about them. If you can find someone to talk to, a clinical psychiatrist or a counselor of some kind, that's the best way to do. Anyways, that's enough from me. My name is Rossmann. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch. I do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out from the red chair. Watch out!